The lawyer's office smelled like old leather and broken promises. I sat across from Mr. Henderson, my hands folded in my lap, trying to steady my breathing. Mom had been gone 3 months, and Dad followed 2 weeks later. Their hearts gave out within days of each other, like neither could exist without the other. Now I was here, waiting to hear their final wishes. My brother Jack arrived late, as always. His expensive suit crisp and his cologne too strong. He didn't look at me as he sat down. Mr. Henderson cleared his throat and began reading. The house, the savings, the small investment portfolio. Everything went to Jack. My name appeared once. Emily shall receive our gratitude for her years of care. That was it. No money, no property, nothing but words. Jack smirked as the lawyer finished. I felt my chest tighten, but I didn't cry. Not yet. Not in front of him. I walked out of that office in a daze. 7 years I'd spent caring for them. I'd quit my marketing job to move back home when Mom's diagnosis came. Stage 4 lung cancer. Dad's dementia followed soon after. I fed them, bathed them, managed their medications, held their hands through the worst nights. Jack visited twice a year, always with excuses about his real estate business being too demanding. Yet somehow he deserved everything. I drove to my tiny apartment, the eviction notice still taped to my door from yesterday. My landlord had lost patience after I'd fallen behind on rent. Caring for dying parents doesn't pay bills. I sat on my worn couch and finally let the tears come. But somewhere between the sobbing and the silence, something shifted inside me. Anger crystallized into clarity. They'd made their choice. Now I'd make mine. I spent that night researching instead of sleeping. My laptop screen glowed in the darkness as I dove into property records, tax documents, and legal filings. Mom and Dad's house was worth approximately $700,000 in today's market. It sat on prime land in a neighborhood that had gentrified significantly over the past decade. But here's what Jack didn't know. The house wasn't fully paid off. Dad had taken a reverse mortgage 5 years ago to cover medical expenses. The balance was substantial. I found something else interesting too. Jack had been listed as the primary contact on all their financial accounts for the past year. He'd been positioning himself long before they died. My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend Sarah. "You okay? Call me if you need anything." I typed back. "I'm better than okay. I have a plan." The next morning I called my old boss, Richard Chen. He'd told me I'd always have a place at his marketing firm if I wanted to return. "Emily," he said warmly, "I'm so sorry about your parents. Are you ready to come back?" Within a week I was back at my desk, working remotely and rebuilding my savings. But I wasn't just working my old job. I'd started freelancing on the side, taking every project I could find. 12-hour days became my normal. I had a goal now, and it required money. Lots of it. Sarah met me for coffee one Saturday. She listened as I explained my plan, her eyes widening. "You're going to buy your parents' house out from under Jack?" she asked. "How?" Smiled. "He has 60 days to either pay off the reverse mortgage or sell. I'm betting he doesn't have the liquid capital, and I'm going to make sure I'm there when he needs a buyer." I was right. 6 weeks after the will reading, I saw the listing go live. Jack had put the house on the market, priced aggressively to sell fast. He needed cash to clear the reverse mortgage and wanted to profit quickly. I'd been saving every penny, working 18-hour days, and I'd secured a pre-approval for a mortgage that would cover the asking price. But I didn't use my real name on the initial offer. I went through an LLC I'd created, making sure Jack wouldn't know who was buying. My offer came in exactly at asking price with a fast close. Jack's realtor called it a dream offer. He accepted within 24 hours. The closing was set for 3 weeks out. During those weeks I kept working, kept saving, and kept my distance from Jack. He'd called me once, gloating about selling the house for way more than it's worth. I just listened and smiled to myself. The day of closing arrived. I sat in the title company's office, signing paper after paper. My hand cramped, but I didn't care. Each signature brought me closer. When the final document was notarized, the title agent smiled. "Congratulations, Ms. Carter. You're officially a homeowner." I drove straight to the house, my house now, and stood in the driveway. The key felt heavy in my palm. Inside, everything looked exactly as it had when Mom and Dad were alive. Jack hadn't even bothered to clean out their belongings. Photos still hung on the walls, their furniture sat in the same spots, and Mom's reading glasses rested on the side table. I walked through each room slowly, remembering. Then I found it, tucked in Mom's desk drawer. A letter addressed to me in her handwriting. My hand shook as I opened it. "My dearest Emily," the letter began. "If you're reading this, I'm gone, and I'm so sorry." The words blurred as tears filled my eyes. She explained everything. Jack had convinced them to change the will, telling them I had a secret trust fund from my grandmother that would take care of me. It was a complete lie, but they'd believed him. "He said you'd be fine, that you were just helping us out of love, not need." We believed him because we wanted to. Because it made the decision easier. She wrote that she'd tried to change the will back in her final weeks, but Dad's dementia had progressed too far for any legal changes to be valid. "I failed you, sweetheart. I let him manipulate us. Please forgive me. You were the one who stayed, who sacrificed everything, and you deserved so much more." I sat on the floor and cried until I had nothing left. Then I did something Mom would have approved of. I started planning. Jack found out about the sale 3 days later. My phone rang at midnight. "What the hell did you do?" he screamed. "You bought the house." "How?" Kept my voice calm. "I worked. Something you might try sometime. You can't afford that house. You're barely scraping by in that dump apartment." "Not anymore," I said. "I'm moving in next week. You've got 72 hours to remove anything you want from the property. After that, it's considered abandoned." The line went silent for a moment. Then, "You vindictive little," I hung up. He called back 6 times. I didn't answer. Instead, I texted him the deadline and blocked his number. Sarah helped me move in that weekend. We packed up Mom and Dad's things carefully, storing what I wanted to keep and donating the rest. Jack never showed up to get anything. 3 days later, I changed all the locks. The house slowly became mine. I painted the walls soft gray, replaced the old carpets with hardwood, and transformed Mom's sewing room into a home office. Every evening, I'd sit on the back porch where Dad used to watch the sunset and feel something close to peace. My freelance work exploded. Clients loved my campaigns and word spread. Within 3 months, I was making more than I ever had at my old job. I hired help, brought on 2 assistants, and started turning down projects that didn't excite me. The revenge wasn't just owning the house. It was thriving in it. One evening I found another letter, this one from Dad, tucked inside his favorite book. His handwriting was shaky but legible. "Emily, my sweet girl. I'm forgetting so much now, but I remember this. You were always the strong one. Don't let Jack's greed define your life. Build something beautiful. Love, Dad." 6 months after moving in, I hosted Thanksgiving dinner. Sarah and her family came, along with my cousin Michelle and a few close friends. The table I'd bought stretched across the dining room, covered with food I'd spent 2 days preparing. As we ate and laughed, I realized this was what Mom and Dad had wanted all along, a home filled with love, not greed. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You think you've won. You haven't." I knew it was Jack. I deleted it without responding. Later that night, Michelle pulled me aside. "I heard what Jack did. What he's been saying about you." "What's he saying?" "That you tricked them. That you manipulated sick, elderly people into signing over their house." I laughed, but it wasn't funny. "Let him talk. The truth is documented. I bought this house legally with my own money. He's just bitter." Jack's campaign against me escalated. He started calling relatives, telling them I'd stolen his inheritance. Some believed him. Others called me to hear my side. I sent them all copies of the purchase agreement, the listing he'd posted, and the closing documents. I bought a house that was for sale, I explained calmly. That's not theft. That's capitalism. My Aunt Linda called me one night. Emily, I'm sorry. I should have known Jack was lying. He's always been like this. She told me stories I'd never heard. How Jack had stolen from her purse at family gatherings as a teenager. How he'd borrowed money and never paid it back. How he'd always played the golden child while causing chaos behind the scenes. Your parents loved him, but they weren't blind, she said. They just didn't want to admit what he was. That conversation changed something. I stopped feeling guilty and started feeling justified. 1 year after moving in, I received a letter from Jack's lawyer. He was suing me for undue influence and exploitation of the elderly. The lawsuit claimed I'd manipulated my dying parents into taking the reverse mortgage so I could swoop in and buy the house cheaply. It was ridiculous, provably false, but it was also expensive to defend against. I hired my own attorney, a sharp woman named Diana Rodriguez who specialized in estate disputes. She reviewed everything and smiled. He doesn't have a case. The reverse mortgage predates your involvement in their care by 2 years. You didn't benefit from it. You bought the house at market value from him. This is harassment. We filed a motion to dismiss and a countersuit for frivolous litigation. The judge threw out Jack's case in under 30 minutes and ordered him to pay my legal fees. Diana called me after the hearing. He looked like he'd seen a ghost when the judge ruled. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. He's trying to destroy you over his own mistakes. That's hard to pity. The lawsuit loss broke something in Jack. He stopped calling relatives, stopped spreading rumors, and disappeared from social media. For 3 months I heard nothing. Then Sarah called me one afternoon, her voice urgent. You need to see this. She sent me a link to a real estate blog. Jack had written a long post about predatory siblings who exploit family tragedy for personal gain. He didn't name me, but anyone who knew our story would recognize it. The post painted him as a victim, a devoted son who'd been cheated by a manipulative sister. It had hundreds of comments, most sympathetic to him. I felt that old anger rising, but Diana's advice echoed in my mind. Don't engage. Let his words hang in the air with no one to argue against. The truth doesn't need defending when it's documented. So I didn't respond. Instead, I focused on my work, my home, and my peace. But I did write a letter. One I never intended to send. The letter sat in my desk drawer for weeks. I'd pour myself tea, sit at Mom's old writing desk, and read it over and over. Dear Jack, you wanted everything, and in your greed, you lost what mattered. This house isn't just property. It's proof that hard work and integrity mean more than manipulation and entitlement. Mom and Dad loved you, but they didn't owe you their life savings, especially when you couldn't be bothered to show up. I was there. Every difficult night, every painful decision, every moment they needed someone. I was there. You were busy building your real estate empire on lies and shortcuts. So yes, I bought this house. I earned this house. Not through inheritance, but through sacrifice, work, and determination. You can spend the rest of your life being angry about it, or you can learn something. I doubt you'll choose growth. Signed, the sister you underestimated. I never sent it. But writing it freed something inside me. 2 years after buying the house, I expanded my business into a full marketing agency. I hired 5 people, rented office space downtown, and started landing corporate clients. The girl who'd been barely scraping by was now running a 6-figure business. I bought new furniture for the house, installed a security system, and adopted a dog named Parker who loved the big backyard. Life felt full in a way it hadn't in years. One evening my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Jack standing there, looking smaller somehow. His suit was wrinkled, his face tired. "Can we talk?" he asked quietly. Almost said no. But curiosity won. "You have 5 minutes. We sat in the living room, the same room where we'd celebrated childhood Christmases. He looked around, taking in all the changes I'd made. "The house looks good," he said finally. Thank you. Silence stretched between us. I'm not here to apologize, he continued. I think you should know that. Then why are you here? Asked. Jack rubbed his face. Because I'm tired. Tired of being angry, tired of fighting, tired of losing. You're not losing. You just didn't win the way you expected. He laughed, but it was bitter. My business is failing. The real estate market shifted, and I over-leveraged. I'm about to lose everything. Felt nothing. No sympathy, no satisfaction, just emptiness. I'm sorry to hear that, but I don't know what you want from me. Nothing, he said. I don't want anything. I just needed to say this. You were right. About all of it. I manipulated them. I lied to you. I convinced myself I deserved more because I was building something important. But I was really just scared. Scared of what? Of being ordinary. Of not being the favorite anymore. He stood up. You don't have to forgive me. I wouldn't forgive me either. But I needed you to know that I see it now. What I did. What I became. After Jack left, I sat in the quiet house and cried. Not for him, but for us. For the siblings we might have been if greed hadn't poisoned everything. Parker came and rested his head on my knee, sensing my sadness. The next morning I made a decision. Called my lawyer. Diana, I want to set up a trust fund. For who? For my brother's kids when they turn 18. If he has any. And if he doesn't, for scholarships for kids who've been caretakers for sick family members. She was quiet for a moment. That's incredibly generous, considering everything he's done. It's not for him. It's so I can look at myself in the mirror and know I chose to be better than the bitterness. I funded the trust with a portion of my business profits. Jack would never know unless his kids eventually told him. That was fine. This wasn't about him seeing my generosity. It was about me refusing to let his choices turn me into someone I didn't want to be. 3 years in, the house became more than just a home. I started hosting workshops for young entrepreneurs, teaching marketing strategies in my living room. Sarah joined me as a business partner, and together we built something meaningful. Former clients became friends. The house filled with laughter again. One workshop attendee, a young woman named Jasmine, stayed late one evening. Can I ask you something personal? She said. Sure. How did you do it? Come back from losing everything. I thought about it carefully. I didn't lose everything. I lost what someone else thought I should have. But I gained clarity about what I actually wanted. And then I worked until I built it. She smiled. Your brother must hate you. Maybe. But I don't think about him much anymore. Anger is exhausting. And I decided I'd rather be tired from building than from fighting. She hugged me before leaving. Thank you. I needed to hear that. Years passed. My business grew. The house appreciated in value. I dated someone wonderful named Marcus who understood my history and didn't try to fix it. Life became beautifully ordinary in the best way. One afternoon I received a wedding invitation. Jack was getting married. The envelope felt heavy in my hands. Inside was a handwritten note. I don't expect you to come. But I wanted you to know I'm trying to be better. Maybe not good enough yet, but better than I was. I RSVP'd no, but I sent a gift. A beautiful picture frame with a quote engraved on it. Family isn't about who was there at the beginning. It's about who stayed. A week later he called me. I got your gift. Thank you. You're welcome. I meant what it said. I know. Emily, I'm in therapy now. Trying to figure out why I became the person I became. That's good, Jack. Really? Do you think? Maybe someday we could have coffee? Pause. Maybe. But not yet. I understand. We haven't had that coffee yet. Maybe we will someday, maybe we won't. Either way, I'm okay. On the 5-year anniversary of buying the house, I threw a party. Not a big celebration, just close friends, chosen family, and people who'd supported me through the hardest years. We ate on the back porch as the sun set, just like Dad used to watch. Sarah raised her glass. To Emily, who taught us all that the best revenge is building a life so full that bitterness has no room to grow. Everyone cheered. I looked around at these faces, these people who'd shown up, and felt overwhelmed with gratitude. Later Marcus found me in the kitchen. "You okay?" "Better than okay. I'm happy. You've earned it." He kissed my forehead. "You know what's funny? Jack thought taking the inheritance would give him power. But you built power from nothing." "Not from nothing," I corrected. "From everything Mom and Dad actually taught me. Resilience, hard work, integrity. Those were my real inheritance." The letter I'd written years ago but never sent stayed in my desk drawer. Sometimes I'd reread it, remembering that anger, that pain. But mostly I forgot it was there. Until one day while cleaning I found it again. I read it through once more and realized something. I didn't feel those words anymore. The anger had evaporated, leaving only distant memory. I took the letter out to the backyard, where I'd built a fire pit. I struck a match and held the flame to the corner of the page. As it burned, I felt lighter. "What are you burning?" Marcus asked, coming outside with wine. "The past." "Does it feel good?" "It feels finished." We sat by the fire as the letter turned to ash. The house stood behind us, warm and welcoming. My home, my peace, my proof that some battles are won not by fighting, but by building something better. I saw Jack one more time before writing this down. It was at Aunt Linda's funeral 2 years ago. We stood on opposite sides of the room during the reception, occasionally making eye contact but not approaching each other. Finally, as people were leaving, he walked over. "The house still treating you well?" he asked. "It is." "How's married life?" "Good. Really good actually. We're expecting a baby." I felt genuine happiness for him. "Congratulations, Jack. That's wonderful." "Thank you." He hesitated. "Look, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, and I'm not asking for it. But I want you to know I tell my therapist about you all the time." "Oh." "About how you turned nothing into something. How you could have become bitter and instead became successful. She says you're who I should have been." I touched his arm gently. "You can still become that person. It's not too late." His eyes filled with tears. "I'm trying." "I know. Keep trying." People ask me sometimes if I regret how things happened. They want to know if I wish my parents had left me something, if I'm angry about the years I lost caring for them while Jack built his business. The answer is complicated. Do I wish they'd recognized my sacrifice? Yes. Do I wish Jack had been different? Sometimes. But I don't regret buying that house. I don't regret the fight it took to rebuild my life. Because here's what I learned. Inheritance isn't just about money or property. It's about the values passed down, the lessons learned through watching and doing. Mom and Dad taught me strength through their struggle. They taught me loyalty by needing me and trusting me to show up. They taught me that love isn't transactional. I didn't care for them expecting payment. I did it because it was right. And somehow, in the cosmic balance, that righteousness paid dividends Jack's inheritance never could. My business continues to grow. The house is now worth over $1 million, but I'll never sell it. It's become a gathering place, a hub for creativity and connection. I've hosted hundreds of people here. Clients, friends, workshop participants, even a few who were once strangers. The house has good energy now. Better than when it was filled with my parents' slow decline and Jack's absence. I like to think Mom and Dad would approve. Last month I had the front porch redone. The contractor found something interesting under the old boards. A time capsule my parents had buried 30 years ago. Inside were photos, letters, and a note in Dad's handwriting. "To whoever finds this, may this house always be filled with love, laughter, and second chances." Cried reading it. Because that's exactly what it's become. Jack's daughter will be born in a few months. He sent me an ultrasound photo. I've already started a savings account for her education. Not because Jack deserves it, but because she does. Because the cycle of resentment ends with me. So here's my final truth. Jack cut me out of the family will, thinking he'd won. But he gave me something more valuable than money. He gave me motivation. The fire to prove I didn't need his inheritance or anyone's approval. I bought his house, yes. But more importantly, I bought my freedom, my peace, my power. This home stands as proof that dignity and hard work matter more than manipulation and greed. That showing up matters. That the best revenge isn't destruction. It's building a life so full and beautiful that bitterness can't survive in it. I never sent Jack that angry letter. Instead, I'm sending this out into the world. To anyone who's been overlooked, underestimated, or cut out, you have everything you need to rebuild. Sometimes losing what you thought you deserved leads you to what you actually need. My brother cut me out of the will, so I built an empire in the house he sold. And I've never been happier. That's not revenge. That's resurrection.